Well, howdy doody, folks. Welcome back to the Creeping Swarf channel. Today we're looking at a Yamaha Mango Wood PJ bass. It's got a long item number, or model name. So yeah, we did some mods and some repairs, so let's talk about what I did here. It's a bass, so I don't put new strings on it too often. Obviously, we start the process by undoing everything and making it a naked guitar with no electronics. These are EMGs, so that's all pretty simple. It comes out fairly easy. The mod I'm performing today is shielding tape. I'm pretty sure this only prevents any extracurricular noise that gets picked up from outside sources, as I live by an airport. Or maybe it is an absolute tone improvement. I don't really know. I just like doing upgrades on my guitars and basses. I will start by saying this is the first time I've done this. So I watched a few videos and tried a couple methods that were suggested. I failed. I used a pen instead of a pencil for the tracing method. It did end up working generally, but it can be done better. The method would have worked fine had I followed the instructions properly. I bought the self-healing pad on Amazon. I use them at work a lot and know that they're pretty useful for this. So I grabbed one on Amazon for a couple bucks. I don't recommend prematurely peeling this tape at all. It is very sticky. So as you can see, I used larger pieces for the first little bit, but that got to be a little bit more difficult as the shape of the cavity was very narrow at one end. So I ended up having to do the walls. I ended up using some smaller pieces. It worked though. I prevailed. It went well enough in there. Some other things I found difficult was fitting my fingers in the cavities and just the holes for where the wires are coming through and making sure that they're in the correct spots on the tape. I'm a pretty resilient guy, so I overcame, and I think I did a decent job. Is it a professional job? No, but it was my first time. So as you can see here, I'm making sure that there's tape connected everywhere, including around the top edge of where the cover plate sits. I also did the inside of the input jack plate. I wasn't sure if I needed to or not, but I did. And I was using a razor blade to cut out the holes on the inside as best I could. It did work, but like I said, that was one of the more difficult things I found. As far as the EMGs go, they are not hard to install or anything like that. I just made a mistake while I was reinstalling them. So it was a pretty easy fix all in all once I got to that point. As you can see here, I was starting the top of the guitar. I attempted the tracing method again without making any changes to how I was doing it. So obviously nothing changed and I failed again. There's never been any grounding issues inside this guitar, and there's no exposed wires or anything, but if you are trying to shield a guitar that has just a regular harness or soldered pickups and everything like that, you're going to want to make sure that nothing is touching the shielding from any of your electronics. You want the shielding to fully encapsulate the cavity, but not to touch anything, or you will cause a short inside of your guitar. So on the top, I found the J pickup to be kind of difficult to shield the sides of the walls, because that was probably the smallest cavity. The thing I did figure out was to just trace the pickups for the bottoms of the cavities, and that worked pretty well. It wasn't perfect, but it worked well enough. So I definitely think there are there are ways to make this process easier. The problem I ended up having to fix with the EMGs was when I was using the diagram originally. I had done them one at a time, but the pot that the bridge pickup went to was upside down inside the cavity just because of the way it fit, as opposed to how it was in the diagram. So I just had to switch one wire from one side of the pot to the other, basically, and everything was kosher. It came out really nice. Here's the finished product of the cavity, which I really thought looked pretty great. So now we're reinstalling the pickups. Pulled all the wires through as smoothly as I could, and just took my time, make sure I didn't mess anything up again. I did not have any heat shrink today, so I was using electrical tape. Electrical tape works. I don't recommend it. You can get a heat shrink kit fairly cheap from Amazon or anything like that. But now that we got it all back together, let's take a look at it and give a listen to it. Here we go.